Yes. Hello. Hello from Israel.
Cheers.
12 points.
First time we decided to come here and fill the void of media or, journalism. We are not journalists, but no one is doing it.
We're more journalists than the journalists.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at least we will tell you what's happening.
And then
Previous episodes. What happens? How it started.
Exactly.
How we flattened the curve. Did we flatten the curve?
No, it's
We
very
didn't.
it's very fast at the moment, the curve. So let's talk about how it started.
In Israel.
Yeah,
I think that we can agree on that Israel, from many countries all over the world, was the laboratory for the vaccine. So we were the first to start the vaccination campaign.
Yep.
So we started
December 2019.
Yes.
They brought it in.
So it started gently, like, here are the vaccine, please do.
Please take them.
And it went wrong very.
Slowly we went downhill very fast, and it escalated from there.
Yeah, and so we got the vaccine for at the beginning from the oldest people and the people in danger, and then it was obviously for the whole population, and then we get down to the soldiers, the students, the young adolescents, and then the 5 to 12. And now
they're talking about babies.
Yeah, they're talking about having from 0 to 4 babies, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they're talking about having the vaccine as part of all the vaccine that
the
you
mandatory
get.
vaccines when babies are born.
Yeah, when you're born. Like, so it will be part of a combo vaccine with the polio, the measles, all these guys. You get the COVID.
Happy.
Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Happy meal.
Happy meal. It's a combo. So that's where we're at. And so far, it's been 1 year that the vaccines were rolled out in Israel. And the people who subscribed to the experiment took 3, many of them. And now the 4th one has been recommended to the Ministry of Health to be approved, meaning that very, very soon you will see everyone that is still in the experiment taking the 4th booster.
But the old people in Israel already have their 4th shot.
Yes, above 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, the second thing...
But that's a misconception. Many people think that in Israel, most people are vaccinated. So I want to blow that bubble. It's about 60-something% that took
the two shots.
The 2 shots, the first 2. And then it goes down every time.
Which is considered vaccinated or fully vaccinated in many countries, but not in Israel.
Not in Israel. In Israel, only 3, and soon it will be 4 doses in order to be considered vaccinated. So it means we have, don't catch me on the number, I can check it later, but it was about 6.2 million that took the first 2 vaccines, and then down to about 4.3 that took the 3rd, and down to 2.9, maybe now it's 3 that took the 3rd vaccine. And now we'll see with the 4th one. It's probably going to be pretty low because many people don't want to take it anymore. With kids, it's still low numbers, very low. It's a failure, the kids campaign, and the government and everyone else is going crazy because they're failing, they're not succeeding. And that's why they're pushing the accelerator and bringing more sanctions and more things, and the kids are being miserable.
About the sanctions, if we're going back in time, so obviously we were the first to get access to the vaccine and to start the mass vaccination, and we were also the first to mandate it. So the first country to force it. It's not forcing. We're not forcing you.
No, who's forcing you? No one's forcing you.
We're giving you a nice choice about having the vaccine or having your life back. It's you choose. You can choose not to go in many places or get the vaccine.
Because you're egocentric.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. By the way, apropos egocentric, if you are recovered from COVID-19, you also have to have at least 1 shot. I think now it's 2 shots. Some country like France it's 3 shots now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For recovery.
For recovery,
Wow.
it doesn't count it as part of...
Because you recovered, but it's useless.
No, it's...
No, you didn't really...
You're not using the product. Why?
Your biology is fucked up now. That's it. You need our vaccines in order to be with nature and heal from something.
Exactly.
Your body doesn't know the work anymore.
So this was the last 2 years. Obviously, it was a slow implementation of the vaccine. It was, I think, kind of, they tried it on the population to see. I think at the beginning, most people were okay having the vaccine, especially because it was proposed and not forced on people. The moment they switch to you have to do it, people start to ask questions and to get defensive, obviously.
Yeah.
And the moment they start to restrict your ability to go places and they ask you to have the vaccine to go to work, to enter many places, it became a problem. I think some people were okay doing it on themselves.
Yeah.
They were okay to take the risk. The moment it switched to kids,
it was more problematic.
And I think most of people didn't vaccinate their kids in Israel.
Yes.
And the government didn't find a way to push it on kids like it did, because kids, they're not going to work. It's funny, but they're not working.
So their punishment is don't go to school. Kids, okay, I want to go to school.
So yeah, now
because let's talk about the modern jailing system. I call it the segregated modern jailing system for kids. So we tell kids, your parents have to vaccinate you, and if they don't do that, then when there is a positive case around you, you have to go into quarantine, which is the modern jail, for 7 days or 14 days. I don't know how many. For kids,
I think now for kids it's 5 days.
Now it's 5 days. They reduce it because they are failing, but they start with 14 maybe, and only for unvaccinated kids. The ones that the parents did vaccinate them can go back to school the day after doing one test. They can go back to school.
So now you have classes. You have classes kids
that are mostly empty, because only the vaccinated kids come and all the unvaccinated kids are at home.
And they're the one giving COVID to each other.
Pass it on.
By the way,
the vaccinated kids definitely pass it on, or the teachers. The vaccinated teachers give it to the kids, or the kindergarten teachers, and then they send all the other kids home. So this has been the cycle for a few months. So
the last few weeks,
and parents are going crazy. They're pulling hairs. They don't know what to do anymore
because we have to explain. It's creating a situation when you have a kid which is not vaccinated. So you send him to school. He's coming back with, okay, I have to get in quarantine because I was in class with someone vaccinated. So I'm getting in quarantine for 5 days. Okay, so the kids plays for 5 day PlayStation. Okay, 5 days, it's okay. And then you send him back again to school. But the day after, again, because it's every day. Because all the kids are
together and they pass it on. Now, the funny thing is, maybe at the beginning, the first 5 days and the second 5 days, they're okay. But then they start developing depression and they start eating more and they become...
Which, the kids?
Yeah, violent. So when they come back to school...
Not mine. I don't know.
Not mine either. Because
you know what? I don't know.
But many kids do.
From a kid's perspective, I think they will remember it as... It was nice. I
hope so.
I mean, from my point of view in Tel Aviv, I don't know, but we
hear from doctors, from psychologists, and from psychiatrists in hospitals and also in clinics that they have a big increase in problems with kids, and also from people in the Ministry of Education. I hear it.
I think the problem
is that there are a lot of kids, especially the adolescents, the teenagers, that normally between the ages of 13 to 18, this is the time where you discover if a teenager has suicidal tendencies, and all kinds of really heavy problems. And there's been an increase in those kids. And one of the experts that I spoke to from the Ministry of Health, she told me that the reason why there is such an increase is because those teenagers are not at school, and the teachers, who are normally the ones to identify it and report it, are not with the kids so much. And at home, sometimes they get lost. The parents don't know how to identify it, or they're used to their kids, so they don't think it's anything unusual. But there is an increase in.
So yeah, I'm obviously I agreeing with you, and also I think there is a lesson here for. I mean, the kids they're very subtle, and they understand the lesson that you can easily be segregated.
Yeah.
I mean,
They feel it.
The old people or the adults have no problem taking part of the kid population and segregate them.
Yeah.
And this is something, I mean, you can talk all you want about being a free country, we're all equal, blah, blah, blah. You can talk about it all you want in class. But the moment you tell a kid, you can't come back because you didn't do that,
that's it.
And the other one can come back, they understand that lesson.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this thing, we will see that.
It will go a long way with them as they grow up, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it will be a problem in 10 years, 5 years, when you're going to ask these kids to go to the army. And you will ask them, be part of society, be part of the group. Give some, because in Israel, I don't know if you know, but as a boy, you have to give 3 years mandatory to the army, and as a girl, 2 years mandatory to the army. Now, the same country that asks you to give yourself for 3 years to the army also tells you you're not an equal citizen as the other kids. And I think they're gonna beat.
They're gonna bite them. Bite them in the ass.
It's gonna bite them in the ass in 5-10 years from now, when these kids will be at the age that they have to go to the army, and they will remind them.
They will rebel. A lot of them will rebel and will say, "We're not going
it's
to
a
the
bad
army.
Lesson.
Fuck you!
It's
You
a bad
didn't want
lesson.
to let me into school. I don't want to serve you." Okay, and here's a funny story from my son. My son is 12 years old, so he protests with us every week. So he sees all the places we go to in Tel Aviv where we yell, green pass is a black stain, and he understands what segregation is, and now he experiences it at school. And the other day, they took the whole school to the Cinematheque here in Tel Aviv to see a movie. And because of the green pass regulations, only people with green pass can go into the cinema. But in this specific instant, for kids that the school takes them to a cinema, they did an exception in the law.
Yeah.
So all the school can go, kids that are vaccinated or unvaccinated, without green pass as well. So all kids went to the cinema, and when he came back home, he told me, "You know where I was today?" I said, "Yeah, in the cinema." He said, "In the most segregating place I was, inside, where we go with the protest every week. I went inside, and I experienced it from inside." So he understands fully on his skin that Saturday night he needs to stand there. He stands there with a sign yelling no to segregation, and the other day he goes into the cinema because now he's allowed. Now he's not dangerous anymore. Okay. It's like one day he's outside because he's not allowed in, and the other day he's inside because they did an exception in the law, and now he can go in. So how stupid is that? He gets it.
They get it. Especially our kids, because we're talking about it all the time, so they understand obviously what's happening. But I think most kids, they're just in a very bad situation where they don't understand exactly what's happening, but the main issue that they're understanding is that the adults are gone crazy.
Yeah.
One day you can go to school, one day you can enter a cinema, the other day, and also they're seeing everything around them losing ground.
Yeah,
it's a very dangerous, it's very chaotic, and it's a very dangerous situation to grow up into. But I don't know. So that's the situation. That was the previous episode until now. That's where we are now. I think what we see now after again, because we were the laboratory, we were almost...
There's another milestone,
Okay.
that started back in July 2020, and it was the Enabling Act that passed for the first time in July 2020. And back then, when it happened, all of the lefties of the government stood up and yelled, "This is a dictatorial."
You have to explain the Enabling Act, because you have to open.
I think most people know because they have it in their countries, but I
the enabling. I can't say
enabling.
חוק הסמכויות.
The Enabling Act, or the C0vid Enabling Act, really gives the government the powers to decide on regulations in times of emergency. So it means that we have to have emergency mode declared, and the emergency mode is declared always for a few months, and therefore this law is also valid for a certain period of time and has to be extended every time. And really it pulls all the power from the parliament to the government, meaning that the parliament that is supposed to create rules and laws in the country doesn't have that authority anymore. The authority goes to the government or the prime minister, who is the strongest person.
It's the government giving themselves a tool when they don't have to go to the parliament to pass
they're the ones coming
laws.
up with the regulations, and then they execute them. And the parliament has 24 hours to say something about it, if ever, because it's not enough time.
So this is kind of law that we see mostly in case of wars, actual pandemic, when Ebola people dying on the streets. But don't take my word from it. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know nothing. We don't know nothing about pandemic. But these kind of laws are
It was never passed in Israel before. It's the first time.
We never had it. We have this law from
July 2020, and then when everyone yelled that it's the worst law ever, Benjamin Netanyahu was the prime minister back then.
So it was the right. The right was the first to pass this law.
Yes, and then Benjamin Netanyahu was kicked out from being the prime minister in March or April 2021, and then went into power the change government, which is a new government that is constructed of both left and right. But a lot of the Ministry of Health is run by the most left minister ever, what's his name? Nitzan Horowitz. And they're the ones pushing for the same law to be extended and radicalized this time. So it's the same law, it's just being bigger, better, and they're lying to the public again, selling it to them as a better version of that law, and they're still not canceling it. And I remind you that this law is based on an emergency state, and there is no emergency in Israel right now. There is no health justification for an emergency.
In Israel, we don't talk about, we are not allowed to talk about the Holocaust when we're talking about other subjects. I mean, we have a say in Israel, אסור להשוות. It's not
compare.
It's not okay to compare. But I'm not comparing, but just so you know, this enabling. I have a problem with this word.
Because you're French.
And you can see I also have a problem with English, but I'm doing my best. This law, just so you know, and Google it after the show, this law was, last time it was passed anywhere in the world, it was when Adolf, when he needed this kind of law this kind of power to put himself as the emperor of Germany. So the last time we saw this law, it was in Germany, 1933, just before he took power. And now we have, but I'm not comparing, obviously, right?
But it's the same.
But we have the same law, it's the same name, and it gives him the same power. We have, again, a law that allows the government.
They were quite stupid to give it the same name. They could call it anything else.
Sometimes there's, I mean,
It's so stupid.
we don't say stupid on the show because they will cut. They're not very intelligent.
It's okay to say stupid.
But it's like in your face. We're not even changing the name. And it's the same
and
kind.
then when we compare the Holocaust, they say, don't compare. No, why?
We're not comparing,
this is not right. In Israel, to compare the Holocaust with this, woof.
No, don't compare. But again, it's the same law, and it gives them all ultimate power. I mean, this group, they called it the Corona Cabinet, can now decide whatever they want because they have this law on their hand, and they don't need to go to the Senate and to run the law and to run what they want to do by other people. They just can do whatever they want because they have passed this law. By the way, in Israel, the Senate is run by, we have 120 chairs on the Senate, half the parliament, half is the opposition, 60 people on the opposition, and 61 people on the government, and 59 on the opposition. So you need to pass a law that like this, you need at least 61 votes to pass it. Just for the fun, guess how many people vote this law? I mean, how many parliamentarians, ministers were actually in the parliament when they passed that law in the middle of the night? Because obviously this is a kind of law that you have to pass in the middle of the night when everybody is sleeping, because you don't want...
I was there. It was at night.
You are crazy, but I was sleeping.
I was there.
How many people were there, you're asking? Tell the world. How the only democracy...
A dozen people, 12 people were there out of the 120. That's their job, and I pay them their wage, and you pay them their wage.
I'm not paying anymore.
We selected them, and we paid them, and 12 people were there. 9 voted in favor, and 3 voted against, and it passed. It passed again.
9 people. That's all we needed in Israel. 9 people. 9.
For one more year. For one more year, and it's more severe than before. It really puts us in a special state where now they added something which is like a special health condition. It's not an emergency state. They invented another definition called a special state, special health of state. And that's a state where they can still pass emergency regulations during this special time, even if there is no emergency state. Okay, so they added for themselves another like interim kind of condition where they can pass on more regulations. They did, for example, 10,000 shekels fine for people who break the Green Pass rules. For owners of businesses,
it's more subtle than that. It means, and these are the rules that are already implemented in the law, but they can't have some more. But the one that are already written down is this kind of rule. Because until now, if you have a restaurant, let's say, and you don't want to be part of the Green Pass, you can just say, I'm not checking anyone. Everyone can enter. It's not my job to be a policeman. I'm not checking. I'm making food. Come, eat, go. Now the government will punish you if you're not checking. So it's forcing on you to be the policeman, to be the policeman at the door of every office, every restaurant, business. And if you're not doing it, you will be fined. And also,
a place can be closed.
You can be
7
closed.
days. 7 days.
You can be closed. So any policeman can come and say, "You're not checking. We saw you not checking. We're closing you down for 7 days."
Yeah.
And now you have it. Yeah. And now you have it because no business owner
Wants to take that.
can work like that. I mean, you have to put food on the table. So,
but that's not coercion. That's not. No one is telling you.
No one is forcing you.
No one
You
is
don't have to go to this restaurant, and the pasta is okay, but
but
don't
no
push
one
it.
is forcing you. There are more like more treats inside this law, but we won't go into them one by one. They're horrible, really.
But that's the law we have now, and again, it runs from 2 years now, and it was revoted. And the amazing thing is to understand that when you look at the numbers, because if we're starting now to say, okay, so we talk about previous episode, and now we start talking about what's happening now. When you actually looking at the numbers now in Israel, and when you're going on nobody dies on the streets. There is no pandemic in Israel.
No.
I think the worst number that they can't put on the table when I'm saying they, it's the Ministry of Health. So for those who don't know, in Israel we are 9 million people. So out of the 9 million people, we have 100 people in heart condition in hospital. What are they calling heart condition? Is these people are there because of COVID or with COVID? We don't know. But obviously,
But it's 100 out of 9 million.
But we know. But we are not allowed to tell you on the air because we're not doctors. But even if it was 100 people from COVID, it's what we got now. So when you look at the numbers, you may say, so we can go back to normal, because what's 100 people out of 9 million? It's basically, sorry, I don't want to I mean, but it's not a lot. It's nothing.
It's nothing. And we forgot to say that the Enabling Act does not work for the Prime Minister, the ministers, the parliament members, the judges, all the elites. They have their own class, right? They're not normal citizens. None of this bullshit applies to them. It's only for us peasants, right?
So this is the situation now in Israel. It's very strange because on one hand, so let's talk about what's happening now. Okay. On one hand, they're talking about taking down the green pass.
That's a question many people ask us. They approach us and they say, I heard in Israel they're canceling the green pass now. Is that right? And they say it also in London. People go, really? In London they're going to also cancel the green pass. So here is the truth. It's icing on the cake, and the cake is made out of a pile of shit. Okay, there's a cake that is smelly, it's made out of shit, and then they put sugar coating. The sugar coating is, we're going to take the green pass out. But the Enabling Act is there, and they can do whatever they want, and they can bring back the green pass whenever they want. So even if they take it out,
actually on the ground, what are we seeing? They were talking about declaring the green pass out today. It was supposed to happen today. So far, I didn't see it happen. Maybe it's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know. But so far, we still. But
that's their tactic. They do back and forth to keep you in suspense, so that when they do finally do it, you go, oh, thank you so much. I was waiting for this. Thanks for giving me a little bit of freedom.
But what we're seeing now, I think, after kind of 1.5 year of this green pass, I think we're starting. Maybe you tell me what you think about. But I think I'm starting to see that the people are getting tired of it. And they're not respecting it anymore, and they're not playing the game. I mean, they're not self-quarantine as much as they were doing. Like, okay, the kids, whatever.
Test the kids,
testing, they understand that it's kind of a game that's... And also they understand that the government, right now, doesn't have the power to police everyone. Mm-hmm. And so many people have COVID in Israel. I think it's... 18,000, 80, and then 30 80,000 people, new case of COVID in Israel every day. So
Because it's COVID.
It's a huge-
It's like a cold. Everyone has a cold now.
So
They're all getting infected.
everybody's positive
Very
to
infected. The
COVID,
Omicron is very infectious.
and most of them are, and most of the positive case are people who were vaccinated. So they understand, and they got like kind of brainwashed to the idea that if you get the vaccine, you won't get COVID. And now they're actually living it on their actual body.
Yeah.
They got vaccinated, and they got
get
vaccinated 3 times. Some people I know personally, people around me with 4
Yeah, me too.
shots of the vaccine who got COVID. So, but
My
again,
dad did the 4th one and got COVID the day after. Many of my friends. It's so stupid. And then I love it when they get it and they go, thank God I got the vaccine because now it's mild. It's like, no, you idiot. It has nothing to do
but
with
also the idea that herd immunity will come from vaccination, because that was the narrative, at least at the beginning, and that was one of the reasons they pushed the vaccine on the young population and especially on kids, because
we must get the kids.
people like us were telling all the time, but the kids, they're not getting sick. Even if they got COVID, they're not getting sick. And the reason to push the vaccine on kids was, yes, but we will get to herd immunity. So we have to vaccinate the kids to protect the old people. And now, this whole narrative is collapsing all along, because you see kids vaccinated and you see old person vaccinated. You see the whole population actually vaccinated, getting COVID, passing COVID. And so herd immunity is not coming from this vaccine. And this idea, who was crazy from the beginning, is totally collapsing.
Yes, and it's very important for me to reiterate this. The Green Pass, even if they cancel the Green Pass now, do not be mistaken. It will come back. It will come back big time and improved. Because right now, the Green Pass represents only like your vaccination certificate. But when they bring it back, they will loop inside also your financials or your insurance or whatever they want to loop back into this
that's the
digital certificate. So yes, it may be canceled soon, but it will come back. And if it doesn't come back, there will be other horrors. So it doesn't matter. So don't be so happy for Israel that the Green Pass is being canceled, because Israel is in a shit state. We're in a really bad condition. And the fact that the Enabling Act
not
passed,
as bad as Australia and Canada. My heart goes to you.
I will talk to Canada in a second. But listen, even if they cancel it, we are still going to see very severe sanctions and very severe punishments to the people that don't comply. And they will continue doing this back and forth of, what's it called? The occasional indulgences.
There are some words that are no problem.
Because it's Latino or something.
Indulgences.
So they keep giving some treats to the public to think that here they are, they save you. They give you a little bit of freedom so you can be happy and free again. No. Behind the scenes, they are preparing the ground for the next thing. Okay?
But we don't know. But we have to be clear. That's what we're thinking, but
No, I know. I know.
I don't know.
You want to see how I know?
I don't know.
It's very easy to know.
I'll be the one on here that's saying that he don't know.
Yes,
she will be the one saying that she knows.
In 30 seconds, you are going to know as well.
But I can tell you.
How do you know?
How do I know?
Because Mr. Antonio Guterres, who is the Secretary General of the UN, told us, what did he tell us? He tweeted 2 days ago. I'm
not on Twitter, that's why.
Here it is. He tweeted, today, I urge all UN member countries to go into emergency mode. Again, emergency mode, we have to be afraid of something. around 5 action areas.
We're not in emergency mode already?
But we have to be more in emergency mode, even more.
Double emergency.
Around 5 areas, not just one, not just COVID, 5 areas. Okay, 5 areas: fighting COVID-19, transforming the global financial system. Here it is, you know.
Not understanding.
You know.
I don't understand
Here he
what
said
it is.
Mr. UN Secretary General. Transforming the global financial system, that's going to come in 2022. Tackling the climate crisis, emergency around the climate crisis, and putting people at the center of the digital world. Remember, what you're holding, the Green Pass, is a digital certificate. They want to put you in the center, okay? That your life will be centered around a digital pass, and delivering sustainable peace. Let's do something honorable. Peace.
I love
So,
how,
action
how
areas.
everything is
Okay, I
intertwined.
didn't make it up. Here it is. 5 action areas of the UN. Go to his Twitter page. He's being followed by 2.2 million people. So it's pretty credible, okay? And so he said it. So we know what's going to happen with the Green Pass. This is what's going to happen.
Again, I'm talking about what's happening in Israel, what's happening. I mean, we want to
It's
tell
going
you
to
what's
happen all
happening
over the world.
now in Israel. So in Israel, so far, we don't have it, but we may have it. They have it in China. They have it in many places in Europe.
You know that back in April 2020, Mr. Naftali Bennett, who is now our Prime Minister, used to be, for about 3 months, he was the Minister of Defense in Benjamin Netanyahu's government. It was a very short period of time before Bibi kicked him out. So he was the Minister of Defense for a few months until Bibi kicked him out. And during that time, very quickly, when COVID started, he managed to work with some of the best startups in Israel, because we're the startup nation, right? To develop a very sophisticated technological system that does scoring of the society, of the people in the public, the people in Israel. And the scoring is based on where they were, who they were with, does this person have COVID or not? They give you scoring based on your behavior. And of course, it will alert to you if you are in danger of COVID. And it was already ready. He was interviewed in the TV. I have it on my Twitter. I can share it later. He said, we finished the development of this system. It's ready now. All we need now is for the Ministry of Health to give us for the legal counselor of the parliament to give us the permission to connect the Ministry of Health records with our system so that we can start tracking everyone, because it's illegal, right? But so he was waiting for this approval, and we know that they were following us many times, because now it's exposed, but a lot of time now it's exposed, but we don't know if they are using this system yet. But this system is ready. We know that from a year and a half ago. It could be, I don't know, I'm just connecting the dots. It could be that this system is already in action by coincidence called the Green Pass, and they're only using it right now for vaccinations. And soon enough, they're going to start using it like in China for social credit score. But it's ready from April 2020. We have it on record.
Yeah, I mean, we can clearly see that it's happening now in China. I mean, people are using their phone to go anywhere. You need a barcode to enter any kind of place.
Can you tell about your friend in China?
Yeah, I can tell you about, I mean, it's not the Israeli news, but I have an Israeli friend who is actually in China right now. And so he has a crazy story. First of all, I mean, to get in China, you have to be in, it was, now it's 3 weeks, but at that time it was 14-day quarantine. So you are being taken from the airport with people in full gear. I mean, like the white gear with the mask and the double mask and protective gear, the gloves, everything. So they're waiting for you. They're waiting for you at the airport, and they're taking you to an hotel. You are
to a jail.
It's an hotel. It's a nice hotel in Shanghai, and you are put in one room. The room is closed, it's sealed. You can't open the...
and it's not jail. They're not forcing you.
It's not jail, it's a room. It's a room with TV and with a bathroom. And
It's an upgraded jail cell.
it's a nice place in Shanghai. But you can't open the window and you can't open the door. And 3 times a day, someone is knocking on the door. You have to get out of the way. The door is open from the outside. Someone is getting in with the gear, giving you food 3 times a day. But it's not jail. I'm telling you, it's not jail.
It's not jail.
They're giving you food and they're doing a COVID test.
A PCR test every day. Every day?
Freaking day. We don't say fucking because it's it's the news. We're not. We are elegant people.
Respectable.
We are news person. We are journalists. Every day for 14 days they are doing that, and then so that's the basic. That's the good morning China, and then you get on your phone. You're getting a barcode that is red. So on the 14th day, the barcode is moving from red to orange. And now you want to move from, let's say, Shanghai to Shenzhen. Okay, so you have to board the plane and you did your quarantine and now you want to travel into China. So you have to get an approval from Shenzhen and you have to show your barcode at the airport. So my friend went to the airport, he shows his phone, and the barcode was still red. So they say you can't board the plane because Shenzhen didn't approve, and there is no one to talk. It's not Israel when you can argue.
Negotiate.
You can argue your way in. It's China. No. They say no. You have to wait until it's approved. Very nice person, very polite, but wait. So he waits. And the 2 planes that were flying from Shanghai to Shenzhen, and now it's night. So it's in the night, you have to find an hotel in Shanghai, but you're still red. And no hotel, no one allows you to get in because you don't have the right code to get into the hotel. So he has to actually sleep in the metro, in the underground, because we can't allow you to get into an hotel if it's red. It's not me. It's the phone.
So he's sleeping in the metro?
So no, he didn't sleep. I actually did not sleep in the metro because a friend of his who is Chinese talked to another friend of his who is working in the hotel. And
they made
a very big effort to let him sleep in the lobby. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, they say, go, because we don't want anyone to saw you. So he sleep in the lobby on a couch, few hours, we don't see this person, it's a tourist, I don't know, sleep, and again, go. And now he's in Shenzhen. Again, when you get into Shenzhen, you get again into 7 days of quarantine. So 14 days, serious. He's still in quarantine. 14 days in Shanghai, a day on the couch, and then 7 days of again quarantine.
And then you're ready
daily COVID test, and then you can't go and be a human person again. At any moment, you can't have on your phone the government asking you to let go of everything, go to the police station and do a COVID test. Why? Because we say so. And if you're not doing it, quarantine 7 days every day. That's China right now.
Amazing.
According to his story. It's not me. And we're not Chinese, we're not saying that for sure. We're saying that because we heard the story firsthand. You do with the story whatever you like. But we're talking about Israel. So
what now?
What now?
What's coming? You say you never know. Okay, fine.
I mean, we wanted to talk about the Enabling Act. We talked about it. We wanted to talk about how the government, the kids, we talked about it. We want to talk maybe about the future. We want to talk about maybe the next few days, what we are seeing. I think there is something that is related to all countries, all democracies around us. And it's the treatment of this story, and that's why we are actually here doing this. I mean, it's the treatment of the media. It's not only Israel, but if you're asking yourself, if you're watching this from Australia, Canada, France, Italy, I don't know, and you're asking yourself why you don't see what's happening in other countries on the news, it's obviously because they don't want you to see what's happening in other countries on the news.
The media was hijacked.
The media is shut down. It's one way of
the
talking,
media
thinking.
Was taken hostage by the planners of this hoax.
I don't know by whom, but obviously it's something is happening, because every day at the same time on the news, the same person come and tell the same story, which obviously is a lie. It's not the right.
And it's the same shit all over the world. In all the different countries, you have the mainstream media being part of that, shutting down the narrative, the non-acceptable narrative, and not giving a stage to anyone that doesn't represent the mainstream narrative. And then you have people who are like rays of light that break through this wall, this Chinese wall of silencing and darkness, that somehow still manage to get their voices out. Amazing people around the world, right? Podcasters and independent journalists and silly people like us that, have to say what's happening here, otherwise no one will know, because there is just no other option. The media has stopped doing its work for the people, from the citizens of the world.
And it's the same for all spectrum of the media, from the extreme left to the extreme right, all the media. Yeah. And it's the first time it's ever happened in the history, at least of Israel, as I remember it. Because always you have the right and the left fighting over some kind of a narrative, and here in Israel, it's one story. The story is you have to get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, you're putting people at risk, you're a danger to society, you're not okay, you're an egoist, and this kind of talk. And
God forbid we will talk about people who get hurt from this experiment, no way. So that doesn't happen. For example, who would have thought that there will be such a huge event happening in the world at the moment, like 50,000, just a small number, 50,000 trucks and truckies in Canada are actually blocking main roads and
at the frontier with the US.
At the frontier with the US, and actively making a difference, making an impact on the economy of Canada and on the food lines and food shortages that are occurring in Canada. At the moment, this is happening, and 1 million people are walking and driving and going in many different ways to Ottawa in Canada, to the Parliament in Canada, to demonstrate
a million people
in front of the Parliament until Mr. Trudeau will step down. Now, I probably think he will not step down, and they will freeze their ass off, so they will go home, but they will come back, and Canada is rising and saying,
we stand with you. It's a bad framing, but we stand with you, Canada.
But it's madness to think that this thing is happening right now in Canada, with so many people taking part in this, with so many people saying, enough, this is madness. And Canadians are very nice people. They are very tolerant, and they absorb a lot until they get pissed off.
I think that they're nice and they have a very long fuse until
it's done.
Khalas, as we say in Hebrew.
In Arabic, khalas.
But again, what's what's amazing
And the media.
It's the media treatment of these kind of things and turning them into ridicule. I mean, even if we heard about it, and I write about it,
Read about it.
my English is amazing. I read about it on CNN, and CNN was talking about these truckers, turning them into some kind of radicals with guns, and my first thinking was like, oh, these guys are crazy. But now, after 2 years of this madness, I'm more. I understand that they're lying to me, and I went to look for more stories about this, and I actually saw nice people talking about their rights, and you see how the media is playing with words, is trying to ridicule everyone who's get out of the narrative. We have the amazing story of a podcaster and hero to the world, Joe Rogan. Like, Joe, my man, amazing work. I'm not sure he's even trying. I mean, but that's what's amazing.
Do you think he's going to watch this?
If you're watching this...
Hey, Joe, if you're watching this,
but
when we grow up, we want to be Joe Rogan.
But again, it's amazing to see how huge outlets like CNN get out of their way to ridicule this man, and it's happening in France. The amazing story of Dr. Raoult, which is an amazing virologist from Marseille, one of the best in Europe. And he has been ridiculed all over France because he's saying something that is not the main government narrative. We have this in Canada, in France, in the US, and we have it in Israel. It's impossible to have the news. I mean,
the real facts and
you can have the weather. You can have the weather.
Yeah,
it's snowing in Israel. That's what we have on the. But look, imagine that the night that the Enabling Act was passed, what we had on the news was the snowing of Jerusalem. That's what was on the front page of every news site in Israel.
It was elevator music to your ears, so that you don't feel what's really happening.
Let's start to wrap it up because
just before you go.
In every show we have a call. We're calling someone dear to our heart.
So wait,
right?
I'm making a phone call. Just 1 second.
For the kids who don't know,
no, they don't know what it is.
This is a telephone, and this is how you make the numbers.
Hold on, it's ringing. Wait.
Okay.
Oh, hello. Hi. Yes, can I please speak to Mr. Burla? Mr. Burla. Yeah, Albert Burla. Yes. Please. Yes, it's Efrat and Ronny. Please tell him I want to quick chat with him.
I'm here on the show with Ronny.
I'm with Ronny. He also wants to say hi in the end. Yeah, okay. Oh, hey, Mr. Burla. Hi, how are you? So we're calling you from Israel because we just wanted to check something. We think we missed your inauguration ceremony, your appointment ceremony. What? No, you didn't have one? Strange, because we had an interview with you on the mainstream media in Israel the other night, and you were saying this.
Put him on hold. Put him on hold. Okay. We have to. He's on hold. He's waiting. We're old friends. He's okay with that, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
You have to understand what's happening in Israel. This guy, Burla, the CEO of Pfizer. We are not allowed to say this word out loud because it will be censored. But the CEO of the pharma, went on the Israeli TV, the news, and what did he say?
And he was interviewed, and he said, "We,
the Jewish people,
we shouldn't cancel the Green Pass."
So this guy went on TV and said to the Israeli people, he's in Israel, like he's living here in Israel, like he's eating hummus with us every day.
Like he's making decisions. We shouldn't.
We shouldn't.
So that is great.
We shouldn't finish the green pass. I mean, we should keep on, right?
Continue the green pass.
Continue the
Mr.
green
Burla,
pass.
Who is we? Are you the new prime minister? Are you the president now? Are you the Ministry of Health? Who are you?
What is he
Who
saying?
is we? Oh, that kind of we. Got it.
The royal we.
Yes, okay, thank you. Ronnie wants to say hi. 1 second.
Hello. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for all you've done for humanity. Without you, I'm not sure we actually had made it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. In Shinku Fresh. Hello. So, guys, I mean, let's wrap it up, right? I mean, it's almost an hour that we are talking, and I'm not sure we still have people watching. So, I mean, if you are still
Ones
with us,
that are watching, you are so brave. Thank you for
so
being
if
with
you
us.
are still with us, the idea of this show will be to
give you information.
once a week we will hit your head and tell you what's happening in Israel, because we think that no one is actually doing the job. I mean, not in English, not with
this good English.
with this special English.
With this special
From the Middle
spice
East.
that you have.
Exactly.
This French
The
spice.
French English.
French spice on the Hebrew English. It's
I'm
amazing.
sorry, I'm not,
You know, it's called Hebrewish.
Yeah, I'm from France. I can't have my accent.
If we do this in French, it would be so much more sexy.
Ça
Why?
serait plus compliqué.
Oh, c'est
Ça serait
très,
plus
très
compliqué.
compliqué.
Let's wrap it up. So, thank you for being with us. If you have questions on the comments,
Yes, so
and-
either on Rumble or on YouTube or on Twitter or on Telegram on my channel, you can find us, or on Ronnie's Facebook, you can put a question there and ask us things, or tell us what you want to hear about for the next time that we are doing a
next
video.
week, if we're still on the, and if we still have an account, if we still have an account
Or if we're not in the modern jailing system.
in an hotel,
In a hotel.
or a hotel.
No one is forcing you.
Bye from Israel. 12 points.
Ciao, thank you.
Bye.